So this is our Wednesday business podcast, and we're going to talk tonight about why LifeWave is a business. And I would say LifeWave is a business for two reasons. Number one, we have stem cell technology, and Dr. Cashell is going to talk all about that. And number two, we pay well, and I'm going to talk about that. So really, we are a business for two reasons. We are stem cell technology, and this company pays well. So, Dr. Cashell, let's go to you real quick and talk a little bit why this would be a business. Why is stem cell technology right now at the forefront? Why would people be interested in talking about stem cell technology as a business today? What's going on with stem cells as a category within the world today? And you have to unmute yourself. Thank you, doctor.
Oh, yes, I forgot I was muted when you muted all. Sorry about that. Well, first, we are in a society where our health is our greatest wealth, right? And unfortunately, our medical system has just kind of failed us in a lot of ways. And it's left all of us in charge of being healthy and being responsible for, our health. Stem cells as an industry is skyrocketing. I think, isn't it something like it's expected to be $40 billion over the next, decade? It is a huge influx. The reason is because your stem cells built you. When you started as an egg and a sperm and then stem cells. And your stem cells can differentiate into any type of cell in the body. So whatever is damaged or dysfunctional in your body today, your stem cells can repair and regenerate. And so why this technology is so important is because David Schmidt has come up with a way to turn your body's stem cell production back on using a peptide called GHK-Cu or GHK copper peptide. That copper peptide is one of the most well-researched peptides in all of the peptides and by independent universities and institutions across the world, not just LifeWave. And so by turning on GHK copper peptide, it has all of these amazing benefits that we get by wearing these patches that you can't get if you take the copper peptides by injection or by an oral administration. You just can't get the same benefits. So we have a niche product and with no competition. So there is nothing else in the whole world that can do what these patches do.
So what do you mean by no competition? This is, you can only get this product right from David Schmidt and LifeWave. What does that mean?
So unlike, if you were selling a protein shake or a weight loss supplement where the market is saturated with different options for people, this product is patented, which means David went to the patent office and proved that his product did exactly what it did, that he says it did, and that it's the only product that's allowed to be made with that mechanism. And it's patented for another almost 20 years. So for 20 years, we're not going to have any competition. There's not going to be another patch that's going to stimulate GHK copper peptide using a wavelength of light.
So I can't just go to Costco and buy the LifeWave patch?
Right. Yeah. No. There's only going to be this product is only available through LifeWave. There won't be any copycat products. It won't be a LifeWave patch. LifeWave will be only through LifeWave, right? They don't sell anywhere besides their distributors.
Wow. So then I'm safe. If I decide I want to build this business in stem cells with this patch, elevating your peptides to activate stem cells through light. If that's what I want to sell, I'm safe to sell it because there's going to be no copycats. There's going to be no Me Too's. Is that right? Is that
That's
what you're
right.
saying?
Yeah.
Wow. That's makes me excited. I have to say, doctor, I've always loved sales. I've been in sales my whole life. And one of the things that was so frustrating to me in other companies, I remember I sold a wonderful omega-3 product back in the day and an amazing hemp oil back in the day. But you know what? There were no patents. And people were just like, oh, I'm just going to go buy it somewhere else. Thanks for telling me about it. You know what I mean? Or I'm just going to, and I realized that all the work I was doing didn't matter because it wasn't patented. It wasn't a proprietary technology that only I could sell. And I told myself, doctor, that when I found a technology that was cutting edge and was in a and proprietary, I would build a business again, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine that that would be very frustrating. I can't imagine selling any other product. Number one, I wouldn't want to stake my reputation on something that I wasn't confident that worked. So one of the beautiful things about LifeWave, and I can say from personal experience and now, patching more than 1,000 people, this product works. I can depend on it. I can stake my reputation on this product because I've seen it work over and over and over again in things that I never dreamt I would see. I mean, I would even say it's been a privilege to be a part of people's miraculous recoveries.
That's interesting. Part of their miraculous recoveries. You're a doctor, so your reputation matters. Like you cannot just go, I'm gonna support everything because that is your reputation. But I had no idea that you've helped over 1,000 people with this product. Maybe you could give us one or two stories that has happened with some of your folks that you've helped. I would love to hear that.
Well, I mean, of course my favorite is my daughter's testimony, but in general, I've seen, people in terrible pain. I had a lady not very long ago, maybe 6 months ago, who in 3 days of patching, she had a hemorrhagic stroke as a 10-year-old. She fell out of a bunk bed and she was in her 70s, is in her 70s, and her right arm was curled up underneath of her chest, like her little chicken wing was all tucked in. The only option her doctor had given her was to cut the tendons to release that. She had never in her entire life opened her right hand. And in 3 days of patching, she opened her right hand and extended her arm. And you can imagine my surprise getting a picture of her extended open hand. So that was truly amazing. My daughter had a brain injury, and we had tried everything, both in traditional medicine and in alternative medicine, spent thousands and thousands of dollars trying to help her recover, and nothing really seemed to help. And within 2 weeks of starting X39 and Eon, she started to get her personality back. The blinds opened and the light came back on in her eyes. She had been an honor student before the brain hemorrhage or the accident, and she went back to school as a special needs kid. She had a 504. She only had to do 50% of her schoolwork, and even that, she was still failing. And in 2 months of wearing the X39 and the Eon, she was back performing, completing her schoolwork with no accommodations. And actually on her final exams, scored more than 90% on all 4 core subjects. So she is completely recovered today. She actually passed. She wasn't supposed to pass 6th grade. She passed. She went on to 7th grade just a few months later, after she patched for about 6 months. Full honors. I mean, she's carried a full honors load ever since and been straight A student. So
So
we
here's
got
a
a miracle.
question for you, doctor. Like,
Yeah.
how do you not share this business when you have those kind of stories?
You know what? I tell people this all the time. Like, my neighbor introduced these to me. My neighbor called me and said, "Hey, you got to try these on Elena." And literally, like, I tell people all the time, like, what if she would not have been brave enough to share them with me? What if she wouldn't have told me about them? Where would I be? What would my daughter's life look like? So I always tell people, like, do not be afraid, do not be shy. And if I'm fully transparent, I think my neighbor told me about these patches probably no less than 6 times before I actually like opened the video that she sent me.
Well,
So
and it's interesting, doctor, because think about it. You're a doctor. Like, and that I could say for most people that I would probably be nervous sharing with you, like, oh, she's a doctor. I'm nervous. Like that took a lot of courage for your neighbor to go knocking on the door and saying, I think this would help. And you being a doctor are like, yeah, whatever. And looking, I mean, honestly, like looking at this is the technology, but let's just, I call it the small little miracle, but it's small. And I can imagine when she came knocking on your door and said, this is what it is, and you put it on your hand, and It reflects your own light to elevate a peptide, GHK, to activate your stem cells to repair you, like when you're 10. Like, first of all, that's a big mouthful. Second of all, you're looking at that patch going right, and she's probably like, I cannot even believe I'm telling her right now. Like, I'm scared. But look what happened. Like,
Yeah.
look what happened because you did finally look. And that's also so important, doctor. When you're building a business, make sure you keep sharing. Don't be afraid because it took doctor 6 times before she looked.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And you know, the other thing is that the price point on this, you know, when she told me it activated stem cells, I thought, oh, this is going to be $25,000. And we had spent a small fortune, more than that, actually, trying to help Elena recover with hyperbaric oxygen and Atlas adjustments and neural feedback and brain tap. I mean, we did everything to help this kid, and nothing seemed to work. We hadn't done anything in a couple of months because not that we had given up, but we had almost given up. And and then, you know, Dina comes in and she actually, you know, texts me this video and finally called, and she had a special needs daughter as well. And she's like, you know, it's been amazing for Jalen. You know, she went from testing as a 4-year-old at 16 years old to testing as a fourth grader wearing the patch for just a few months. And I was like, okay, well, if it can do that for your daughter, maybe it can do that for mine. And that was literally the, like I said, she kept saying, did you see what I sent you? And I said, no, I never
Well,
opened
it's
it.
hard to believe. It's hard to believe that someone can go from a testing at a 4-year-old to fourth grade. Like, you must have been like, yeah, right. But here's the thing, because this activates your stem cells, I like to say, doctor, that GHK copper peptide is the super peptide because it is a peptide that acts like a telephone to your stem cells to tell them to start working again like they did when you were young, like when you were 10. And here's the interesting part, doctor. Stem cells are the only cells in your body that are changeable. They can change into whatever cell your body needs for repair. But that's only when they're young and working. But when we get older, they just so decline. And so that doesn't happen. And I like to think for a young person, you just gave her a turbo boost, you know, because she already had some stem cells. You just
That's
made them really more active, you know?
Well, you know, and one of the things, you know, when products claim to be able to do all sorts of things, solve all sorts of problems, you know, that's when like my, you know, radar goes up like this is too good to be true. Well, you know, when you're affecting the body on a cellular level and your body is making regenerative cells that heal whatever cells are dysfunctional, right? Because all disease, no matter if it's kidney disease or heart disease or brain dysfunction, those are cells in your body that are not working properly. And when cells don't work properly, that's when we have symptoms, right? We complain that our brain's not working, our heart's not working, our kidneys aren't working. So the reason that this patch is so amazing is because it doesn't care what is written on your medical history. Your body knows it's going to start producing those repair and regenerative cells, and those are going to go to work someplace different in you, Marcy, than they're going to go in me, and someplace different than they went in my daughter, right?
I love that you said that. The key to dysfunction, I was going to say age-related issues, but for your daughter, she's young. So let's just say issues, right? Whether
Yep.
it's brain or heart or kidney or fast-growing cells, I don't care. Issues
Right.
is that the cells aren't working right. I
Right.
just got that. The cells aren't working right. You just
That's right.
educated me, doc. And that X39 activates your stem cells to work young again. And now they tell all your cells to work right again. Is it that easy? Is it that simple, doctor?
That's that, and you know, that's why everybody has a different response. Like some people's, you know, joints don't ache anymore. Some people's nerves don't burn anymore. Some people's brains heal. Some people have more energy. I mean, it's a different response in every single person because it's actually going to what their body needs.
You
And
know,
sometimes in traditional medicine, that's a really frustrating thing is that we don't know or we don't have a label for it. Sometimes we go to dozens of doctors trying to figure out what it is that's wrong with us, why this is happening. And sometimes I can't figure it out at all. And so it's very frustrating not to have a diagnosis because then they don't know what to give you. And I would argue that most of the things that they give you are band-aids, right? They don't repair the cells. The cells are going to be damaged in 10 years, whether you take the pill or not. It's probably going to get worse in 10 years, whether you take the pill or not. This is different. And that's one of the things, actually, I addressed this in a Facebook group the other day, don't stop patching until the tissue is healed. I would say don't stop patching at all, but definitely don't stop patching until the tissue is healed, because when you take the patch off and you stop patching, if your pain comes back, then guess what? That tissue is not healed yet. You need to keep going. And sometimes that takes time. There's no magic in that little patch, even if it feels like there is. It's not magic. It doesn't instantly heal the tissue. That takes time. Your body takes time to repair and regenerate. No different than if you had a knee replacement, or if you broke your leg and you have to wear the cast for months while that bone tissue heals. And then after that, you take the cast off and you still have rehab to do, and you have to rebuild the muscle and the rest of the tissue. So patching is the same way. You have to give it time.
Well, I thought you really made me think about some things. I remember talking to Ivory Sully. He, in the 80s, played for the NFL, the Rams. And he told me that, like, when he was a young guy, he was getting hit on hit and concussion and head, and helmets weren't that great. And he's like, I'm a guy. 10 years, I can handle it. But you know what? By the time he was 30, 40, 50, and, remember, stem cells decline by 50% by the time you're 30. They decline almost all the way by the time you are 60. They're not dead. They're just not active anymore, right?
Right.
And he said, what happened, Marcy, as I got older, all the injuries that I never felt as a young person came back. My shoulder, my knee, my concussions in my brain. And he said, it's because my stem cells were not repairing them anymore and they popped back out. But when I started X39, what happened, Marcy, is that I started repairing again like I was young, and they all simmered down again. And I thought, that's really it, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and that brings me to go back to why this is a great business, is that, when I start a patient on, I call them clients, but when I start a client on X39, and I often use Eon together, but, they often have such great results that they stay on it. And so as a business model, you want a product that not only has no competition, but that people continue to use because they see a benefit. And you can tell that has been, not only people are staying on it, but people are sharing it. Just look at the amount of insane growth that LifeWave has had over the last few years with the induction of X39's, popularity. The reason it's grown so much is because it works, and people use it and they love it and they stay on it and they share it. And that is how this works as a business. We get rewarded when our volume grows, right? So as that happens, not only do you see these incredible sales numbers from the company, but unlike any other company right now, our momentum is an overdrive. We are skyrocketing in sales, unlike anything that I've ever seen. I think, isn't it over 3,000% in the last few years?
Well, I'll have to say we went in 5 years when they came out with X39, 50 million to 600 million, and we're up 43% year after year. And we are in the top 25 companies in our industry now. And that's momentum. And I'll tell you, Dr. Cashell, it's always better to build a business that's on the upswing than flat or going down. Like, if this is something that's interesting to you, that is talking stem cells, the business of stem cell technology, this would be the time when we are in growth. I like to say this, doctor, don't be late to the barbecue. Like, you want to start talking about this when it is growing. And I'll talk about that as well. I think the other piece that's so interesting is that everybody's interested in light now, and they're interested in stem cell injections. Like, they want to know that. Like, everyone's like, what is this light? What's this red light sauna? What's vitamin D in the sun? What's cold laser? Is this light? And then they say things like, what is this thing about cord blood stem cells in Europe and Mexico for $20,000? And there's this interest. with light and stem cells. And then this darn product comes right in that interest. And we say, hey, for less than a cup of coffee a day, you can activate your own stem cells with light. Like, what do you think about this trend and why? I think this is one of the reasons it is such a good business is because of the trend of light and stem cells. Your thoughts?
Well, I would say, not only are you seeing an explosion in those industries and stem cells and in light and honestly in frequency medicine, right? The University of Michigan just published a study where they were using sound and light waves to bust up cancerous tumors. Like that's now an FDA approved therapy.
Wow.
That is using light and frequency and sound. Like this type of medicine no longer is on the outskirts. It's becoming mainstream. It's going into traditional medicine. So as medical professionals and as regular people selling this product, you have an opportunity to get in on it while nobody knows what it is. I guarantee you, if you go out and ask your doctor if they know what X39 is, 99% of them are going to say no. So you have an opportunity to be ahead of that curve. If you go and ask your doctor if they know what isogenics is, he's going to say, yeah, I think that's a weight loss shake. If you're asking about some of those other companies, like they already know, everybody already knows about it. This is a completely different, we're still growing. It's not a common household name yet.
And I'll say this because it's so true. It's so easy to share. You know why? All you do is put a patch on it. That's it. All you do is say, it's stem cell, it's light, let me patch you. And you put a patch on it. And you let the patch do the work. And I tell you, it does. That's why it's so easy. I literally just put a patch on someone and take them to startx39now.com and tell them to watch the first video. Or sometimes I just put a patch on them and send them the first video, our new experience X39. That's about as easy as it gets.
Yeah.
And
So,
let the
so
patch
with that,
uh-huh.
there's no dosing because there's no medication in it. So there's no drug interactions. There's nothing going into the body besides a little light, right? And I thought, and of course, this was my rationale because I was patching my 11-year-old, is that light cannot hurt you. There are no side effects to X39. There are no side effects to, well, sunlight, I guess, if you get too much of it. But it's just light therapy, right? It's just light entering the body. There's no medicine. So there's no drug interactions. It doesn't matter what drugs you're taking. This does not have any drug interactions because there is no part of this is no drug. There's no
Well,
dosing requirement. It's
what's interesting
inexpensive.
about that is that David Schmidt says non-invasive, non-transdermal. And he said once in convention, light and your cells work perfectly together. They dose perfectly. It's like your cells just open up to take just as much light as they need. It's like they go, it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly, right? They just go together, light and your cells. Sorry for interrupting. But yes, I
Yeah.
so agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, just about anybody will get benefit from this, whether they feel it or not. Your body is responding. And that brings me to another cool point about LifeWave. And as a clinician, this was really important to me, is that there is no other product on the market that is natural like this that is as well studied. David has published more than 130 clinical trials, and there's dozens more that I've heard him talk about that he hasn't published. So this is so well researched. One of the first things I did when I heard about the patch was go, did they prove that it increases GHK copper peptide? And sure enough, there was a few studies, I think 4 or 5, maybe even 6 studies proving what happens after 24 hours, what happens after 7 days, what happens after 28 days. Like David has done all the science. So it is so well researched. I have 100% confidence whether you put the patch on and you feel something or you don't. I know from the clinical trials that if I took a blood sample of you before you started patching and after you started patching, that I'm going to see an increase in that GHK copper peptide in your blood and in the number of stem cells that you're producing.
Well, and what's interesting about that is David Schmidt, owner, inventor, and CEO of our company. Like you said, he has over 200 patents, all those research studies. And here's the thing, we're a private company. So nobody tells the man what to do. And all he wants to do is help people live longer. And it's an honor to be working in this company with this man. Like, talk about integrity, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think the biggest thing, and I noticed today, if you missed his webinar, I've been in LifeWave for about 2.5 years. And most of the videos when I was doing some research were even older than that, probably like 3.5 or 4 years old. To see the change, he is literally aging backwards. Like he looks so much younger than he did on those videos, 4 years ago. And to see him in person, even on stage last year at the convention, was the last time I got to see him. He really is a product of his products. Like he really is aging backwards. And I know for myself, like I want to live to 100 and I don't want to look like a decrepit old 100-year-old. So if I could just, freeze time right now and live to 100 and just exact same body, that's how I'm going. That's at least that's my goal.
I
So
love that word. We're a business because we have a technology that ages you backwards. I love that. Who doesn't want to sell something that makes you younger? Now, with that, doctor, let's talk a little bit why this is a business. Obviously, we just explained the technology, right? But we also make money in this company. And it's really important to talk about because there are so many companies right now not paying their brand partners well, letting their brand partners go. I mean, it's been awful. And David Schmidt, you know what he said the other day? He said, I'm so thankful for you all because you've built this business and that allows me to be in the lab to create more. And I want you to know I've got your back. I'm with you 100%. We're in this together, and this will be a multi generational business. This will be for you, your kids, your grandkids, and I'm never selling the company. And I'm in. I was just like, wow, I'm in. And then he said, and we made this compensation plan, this new compensation plan coming out 1st of August. We pay you 9 ways, not five,
I
but
I don't think I've
9.
ever heard of a company giving their brand partners a raise.
Raise. They
We
gave
all,
us
I
a
mean, we're
raise.
all set to get a raise. We're all getting paid in a better way in August. Like, as when you're looking at, direct sales as a market, every other company is cutting pay. And
Right?
here LifeWave goes, oh, we were paying you this many. Now we're going to double it. Now we're going to pay you 9 ways.
So let me tell you about that too, because this was really interesting. So Meredith, who is the president of our company, of course, David is the owner. She said, I've been in other companies where they rechange the comp plan, and it's like, oh, yikes, they have to either go public, so they have to make more profits and cut the brand partners' pay, or the company's not doing well, so they've got to cut the pay. That's not us. We
Right.
are in momentum. We are not getting our pay cut. We were getting paid 60% in our old compensation plan. Guess what? We're getting paid 60% in this compensation plan. That didn't change. What changed was the way they reallocated it. They reallocated to pay more money up front for new people, which we needed. And they're paying more money for people to break the ranks. So if a network marketer is looking for a new home, you're going to get binary commissions, gen match on unilevel, and you can make an additional $250,000 for breakaway, which means that you break ranks, right? Lump sum money for hitting a rank. And that's an extra $250,000 by going from the first rank to the highest rank in the company in a year. And you network marketers that have felt alone, or that your company hasn't been treating you right, or they close the doors. Oh my gosh, I'm so angry at that because our industry is important and we are able to create financial freedom for people, and we build business and we build teams and we work hard and we are worthy. And David Schmidt says, yes, you're worthy, and yes, I will pay, and yes, you go find other big network marketers, bring them to us, and we will have a home for them. We will never leave them, and we will pay them well. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and I think that is amazing. I mean, and I love that he's marketing, and making all of us, whether we're network marketers or maybe we're just someone who just wants to share it with our friends, where he's making it so that there's an opportunity for everyone to not only make money and make it a career if you'd like, but he's making it with the new comp plan changes, making it so easy for new people to, at the bare minimum, pay for their and their husband or maybe their wife's patches, like just to be able to get this amazing health benefit and earn enough money to pay for your own patches, or maybe it's enough money to pay for your car payment or maybe your house payment. Like just having the making it so easy for people who are just getting into this business to make, an extra 200 or 500 or $1,000 a month. If you look at it, it is so easy. So
So
I'm so looking forward to the comp plan change in August. People who are even making a small amount of money a month, just enough to pay for their patches, they don't quit. And so by changing this comp plan so that everybody has an opportunity to make a little bit of money at this with very, very little effort, that is an amazing opportunity to bless your family. Maybe it's a vacation, maybe it's a car payment, maybe it's just paying for your patches, but I love that he changed it and made it so rewarding for
So with
everyone.
that, doctor, I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm just going to point out the 9 ways to get paid really quick because I believe that this video is going to find its way to network marketers that are looking for a home. So I want this 9 ways real quick because if you're a network marketer that's looking for a home, you'll know comp plan. And so I'm just going to go to this website real quick and it's start333biz.com. Start333biz.com, and it is our business site. And right there, the comp plan is there if you ever want to go look at it, right on the front page. And I'm just going down right there and we're going to just click it. And right there is the compensation plan hot sheet. And I'm just going to click the link and quickly, we pay PIB, upfront money, you ship, and we pay $35, $75, $165, or $405. Those are lump sum product introduction bonuses. In addition, there are points, which are 180, 300, 500, or 775 that go down our binary tree. And you get paid on that as well. We pay business launch bonus. You basically become a 1-star manager, 2-star manager, and help your people become it. You and them make extra money. They make $450 extra in 9 weeks. You make $225 for enrolling them. Shoot, enroll 4 or 5 people and 5 times the money. Level earnings bonus. This is a type of unilevel bonus that you get on your people and their people's 3 levels down. And that's on preferred customers and on their volume, their personal volume. Binary, gold standard, 10% of lesser lake, all the way up to 25,000 a week. It is a lot of money. And what do? You just build managers on your binary. You get an advanced pack and you put 2 core packs on the right, 2 core packs on the left, and you just keep helping people do that over and over and over and over again, and everybody builds. This is huge. Mentor match, another level complement. If you are an MLM builder, you will see we are a combination of binary and unilevel. Who doesn't want both of them? Let's have both. We pay up front. We're binary, we're unilevel. We go 6 generations down, 20%, 18%, 15%, 12%, 10%, 7%, all the way down. And we are dynamic compression. So if someone's not building, they just get skipped and you don't get hurt. This is huge amount of money. Here's the breakthrough incentive. You go from 1-star director to 3-star presidential. You go up through the ranks. Look at that. A total of $230,000 you can earn lump sum in addition to all this other money. And quarterly bonus pools. Who doesn't want this? This pays us to be a team together globally. When I'm sleeping, I'm getting paid in Korea, whether I'm working Korea or not, because it's global sales and it's 5% of global sales. And we get a percent of that based on everyone building. Lastly, we get retail and customer profits. So I just want you to know that there's 9 ways to get paid now. It's better than 5. He pays 60%, and you can see all that upfront money. You can see binary cycling. You can see gen match in a unilevel way, and you can see breakthrough money. If you can see what I see, come check us out. Come check out our patented stem cell technology. come check out our compensation plan. And I will even put that link in chat because hopefully that will actually show in the recording when you send it to folks so they can go and look at that compensation plan themselves. Let me go put that in chat right now. And also there is a great video. And once again, that's on start333biz.com front page. There's no username or passcode to get into here. And you can see the 5-page hot sheet, as well as how we build, as well as the training behind it. And that's also gonna go in chat. So I want to thank you all for coming to say why LifeWave is a business, why it's this technology, and how we make money, and that there is a lot of it. Dr. Cashell, thank you so much for being my partner. You are the best doctor ever, and we love you all. Have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye now.
Bye.